Ran the story last week of the CEO that fired 900 employees at the same time over Zoom. The incident has gone viral and has led to some questions about the legitimacy of laying people off that way. Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero joins us now. Alex, in your time, and I want to get your reaction because we're going to get into this, but have you ever seen or heard of something like this happening before?
Certainly not in Canada, Matt. I mean, unfortunately, the laws in the United States are much different when it comes to employment law. Employees have much less protection, and so it's not surprising to see a story like this coming out of the United States. The law is somewhat different in Canada, and so again, these things are much more rare. I mean, my immediate reaction was just really being sympathetic for these employees who had to hear news of their termination in a meeting with hundreds of others in what I think was a 3-minute meeting.
Yeah, it's astounding. So, okay, let's get into the law here. And I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but can this happen in Canada? Can an employer legally terminate people in that manner?
Well, it's interesting, Matt, because despite what I just said, I mean, technically there is no law in Canada that bans an employer from letting an employee go, for example, on Zoom or by way of video conferencing, or even for that matter, by letting a group of employees go. Now, that said, professionally and ethically, this is something that we simply don't see. Simply because it's bad business practice. You want to make sure that when you're letting an employee go, there's a degree of confidentiality and privacy there. That usually means that these meetings are one-on-one. There are also implications when it comes to severance. And so from an employer's point of view, you do want to have these meetings individually.
Mm-hmm. And again, as we talk about severance, though, too, if someone was terminated or if they were laid off online or virtually, is there anything else other than severance or any other means of damages they could pursue if that happens to them?
So there have been actually plenty of cases, Matt, in Ontario where employers who have mistreated employees in the circumstances of a termination, perhaps they've made allegations against the employee with respect to misconduct that were ultimately untrue, or treated the employees particularly harshly. Those employers have been punished by our courts. Those employees have been awarded additional compensation over and above their severance entitlements as employees for the manner in which the termination was enacted. So it's certainly possible, and it's a caution for employers to treat employees fairly and civilly when they're letting them go.
Right. Certainly interesting, again, as we talk about these big cases and their implications for employers and employees here. Alex Lucifero, we appreciate your time as always, sir. Thank you for this.
My pleasure, Matt.